right, let's get this party started. Hey, good morning, millionaires. Give me a replay, gang, if you're watching a replay. We're going to get this party going in just a couple minutes. We waiting on everybody to join us here. Maybe on Clubhouse, maybe on Facebook, maybe you're on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is Millionaire Minded TV. I just want to say good morning to all the champions out there, you know. This morning we're going to talk a little bit about, good morning. Let them know where you from, man. Like where you representing from, who we got in the building. What I was going to say, right, is that at the end of the day, man, it all this week we've been focusing a lot on mindset, on mental toughness, right? Tonight on Obsessed with Success, what we're going to be doing is focusing completely on Your Mind, a Magician, which is this incredible, it's one of the most incredible books I ever found outside of Think and Grow Rich that is just purely about mindset, and even more than that, how your mind actually works. I thought that was great. So we've been covering that the past 2 weeks on Obsessed with Success. Maybe you knew that already, but every Wednesday we do a training that is all based around the stories, the strategies, and the mindset of the best to ever do it. And we do that every Wednesday. So I wanted to make sure you knew that out there in Facebook world, out there in YouTube world, you know, just want to make sure that you cool with that. Okay. I see we got Birmingham in the building. I love that. Yeah. I see we got Indianapolis in the building. Where else you from? Let them know where you from, y'all. What's up, Taisha? What's up, Erica? What's up, Ray? What's up, Shay? What's up, William? All right, we starting to check in on Clubhouse as well. Ping somebody into the room, share the broadcast. This is going to be a lot of fun this morning. I really feel like what we got to do is get to the place where we cool about it all starting in the mind, you know, instead of us always going from what we can see and letting that infect our spirit. What we have to do is start from the spirit and let that kind of like begin to affect our reality, how we look at everything around us. And of course, we call that mental toughness. All right, we're going to get this party started. All right, I'm about to call in on the live line. For those that don't know, at the same time as we're doing this, we always have the live line rocking as well. If you want reminders, then you can just text message at MillMind to 81010. All right. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and call in on the live line now. Speaking of that, how's everybody feeling this morning? Scale of 1 to 10. How you feeling this morning? Let me see it in the comments. How you feeling this beautiful Wednesday morning on a scale of 1 to 10? On a scale of 1 to 10, how you feeling this morning? Make sure you join the text message list if you haven't done so already. The text message list will keep you in the loop as it relates to all of the trainings we do. You get all kinds of quotes. It's really dope.
All participants are muted and they can unmute themselves.
All right, here we go.
Entry and exit tones are off.
All right. Good morning, millionaires. Good morning, millionaires. I hope everybody feels really, really good this beautiful Wednesday morning. My name's Haziq Ali. I'm a revenue acceleration coach and somebody who's dedicated a good portion of his life to help you go further, faster, with less effort. Our whole goal is to make you more efficient and more effective. Obviously, it all starts in the mind, though, right? We know that whether you look at somebody in the world of social justice, like Martin Luther King, who used to meditate every morning so that he could not just see what was around him, but see what was around the corner, right? Or you're talking about somebody like Tom Brady, who's won more Super Bowls than any other team. And you're talking about a guy who, before the last Super Bowl, was text messaging his whole team like, we're gonna win. Here's how. It all comes down to your mindset. Tonight on Obsessed with Success, we're going to be covering a book called Your Mind, a Magician. This is part 3 of a series that we've been doing, and I think this is one of the best parts of the whole series. So tonight's the grand finale. Even if you didn't catch part 1 and part 2, we'll do a slight recap and then we're going to get into it. This book is amazing. And if you have never joined us on Obsessed with Success, I want to welcome you to do it today. All you do is text message @MillMind to the number 81010, @MillMind to the number 81010. Also, this is a good time for you to be getting your planner done. This is a good time for you to be ordering your 90-day planner. It's time to go into a brand new month. It's already about to be March. Can you believe that? And so this would be a good time for you to order your 90-day planner if you haven't already. It would be really smart for you to do that now because of the fact that you could have it by the time March 1st gets here. All right, enough shameless plugs. Today we're here to talk about these daily habits that can create more mental power for you, more mental strength. Yesterday we were talking about how you can take that negative voice inside and kind of turn it positive. We started talking about you taking Toby, your slave voice, and battling that against, who do we say? Kunta. We didn't say Kunta and Toby yesterday. I think yesterday we said Karen and Sasha Fierce and all of this, but we were talking about how you can use that to build your mental strength because you can predict your inner critic speaking up. What you can begin to do is also acknowledge your inner champion, right? And so that was a real cool way for us to get to a place where we're able to, take sovereignty over our emotions and our thoughts and our ideas. Is that a fact? Well, today we're going to take it a step further. Because at the end of the day, one of the determinants that you're going to find that help you with strength, that help you with leadership, that help you with courage, that help you with being inspiring and motivating to the people around you is mental toughness. To be a peak performer, y'all, if you're going to be excellent in any field out there, you're going to need desire, you're going to need effort, you're going to need discipline. There's no way around it, right? And this ain't just you being out here acting tough, right? That's not how discipline works. What you're doing, if you're being for real about it, is you really feel this inside yourself. If you're doing this for real, you really feel this inside yourself. Mentally strong people are not just acting tough, right? You are willing to work hard when no one's looking. Somebody say that in the comments. Somebody write that in the notes. I am willing to work hard when no one's looking. I dare you challenge yourself like that this morning. I am willing to work hard when no one's looking. Let me see that, and then we're going to begin. I am willing to work hard when no one's looking. Let me see it. At some point, you got to make a decision that you're going to be known for your work ethic. Is that too much to ask this morning? That you be known for having people around you saying things to you like, you work so hard. Damn, you're always working. Are you willing to be known that way? Are you willing to be known also for somebody who obviously did a lot of work when nobody was looking? All right, so I got 7 of them for you this morning. I think that these daily habits are going to kind of influence you if you let them. If you let them, these daily habits can begin to change the way that you're looking at yourself. Maybe right now what you're doing, right, is you're giving yourself a little bit too much props. Maybe you're out here saying that you're working hard. Maybe you're out here even feeling like you're working hard, and in actuality, you ain't doing much. I'm going to give you 7 daily habits to employ, and then I challenge you to rank yourself. 1 being terrible, 10 being terrific on each of these 7 daily habits that I'm about to give you. I'm trying to encourage you this morning to go ahead and embrace your opportunities for improvement. Y'all down with that? All right, here's the first one, y'all. Be willing to learn. Be willing to learn. This is a daily habit for the mentally mentally tough, for those who show grit, for those who show perseverance. They are willing to learn. But let me tell you another way to put it before we start being like, oh man, I got that one all day. Let me tell you another way we put it. We say, be willing to make mistakes. See, the only proof of learning is a change in course of action. So it's not just about you being willing to learn. It's about you being willing to make mistakes. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 with being willing to learn? Right now, we live in an information age, but the problem is everybody's drowning in information and yet they're starving for wisdom. You hear me? Not everybody is taking advantage of all the opportunities living in the most incredible information age the world has ever seen gives them. People used to have to travel for miles around to get to a library. Don't you know that's where we get the word university? Because Timbuktu was a universe city. It was a city where everybody went to study the way that the world works. Remember how I'm always telling you, know thyself is at the top of the pyramid when you walk in, or the beginning of all knowledge is to know thyself. Or a lot of times you hear me say, attitude is just a function of whether or not we understand the laws of nature. Millionaires, mentally strong people don't see learning as some tedious process, some crap that they got to do. That's not how the mentally strong see it. They see it more like it's an essential part of becoming great. It's an essential part of the routine that's going to develop your mental dexterity, your ability to persevere. You're going to have to learn to see learning as a way to improve yourself. You're going to have to start seeing the mistakes you make as a vital part of you getting ahead of the competition. A lot of times we trick ourselves into thinking a mistake means that we have a setback or we're somehow behind somebody. But that's because we're looking at life as a race instead of a classroom. Once you stop thinking of it as a race, which means that there's a first place and then second place is the first loser and so forth and so on. Once you begin to look at life like it's a classroom, which means she can get an A, he can get an A, and I can get an A too. Now you're willing to learn. Millionaires, this changes your whole mental attitude. Does somebody hear me out there? Somebody give me a score. How willing are you to learn? Somebody give it to me in the comments. I am a 5 unwilling to learn. I am a 5 unwilling to make mistakes. I am an 8 unwilling to make mistakes. I am a 10 unwilling to make mistakes. Huh, Zeke? I make new mistakes every day, right? If you make new mistakes every day and you cherish it. Now, I didn't say make the same mistakes, but if you make new mistakes every day and you cherish it, then you're allowed to give yourself a 10 here. But if you notice it's something you need to work on, I encourage you to embrace it. Here's the second one, y'all. Be willing to adapt. A lot of people think that the race of life goes to the fastest. A lot of people think the race of life goes to the strongest, but it's not true. The race of life goes to he who can adapt the quickest. He who can learn information. Like we just talked about learning information. We just talked about making mistakes, right? But now it's time for us to embrace the idea that the one that's going to win the quickest is the one who's willing to learn that information the quickest. Change is a constant factor in life, but growth is always optional. You always have the ability and the choice to ignore whatever lesson God is trying to teach you. Do you hear me? You always have that choice. But here's the point. You're going to have to learn to deal with it. You're going to have to learn to deal with this thing called change. You're going to have to learn to deal with that choice that we all have to make every time we're faced with a mistake and a lesson that comes from that mistake. We all have a choice every single time where we can either go ahead and bend and become flexible, be like water, or we can stay rigid. But I'm going to tell you a trick we learned from nature, right? Since all attitude is just a function of whether or not we understand the laws of nature. I'll tell you what I learned about steel. I know that steel has something called a tensile strength, and tensile strength measures that steel's flexibility. The more flexible the steel is, the stronger it is. I know when I look at a tree, I know that if that tree cannot bend in the wind, it's going to snap. I know we better be willing to adapt. Somebody say it in the comments. I am willing to adapt. I am willing to adapt. I am willing to adapt. Millionaires, you can't afford to be out here playing the blame game. You can't afford to be complaining about some imperfect solution. You got to learn to work with what you got. You have to learn to use what you got to get what you want. You're going to have to work towards solutions regardless of how the circumstances are constantly changing. This is what gives you a competitive advantage around the people around you, especially if you play the mind game with yourself where you are expecting things to change. You are doing everything you can to mitigate the risk to yourself, right? This is why we don't spend every dollar we get. This is why we tuck some away. This is why we make sure we put some in play. But we don't spend it all because we need to have the power to adapt. Is that right? We need the ability to adapt. This is why we treat our time as a resource, right? This is why we plan out our month 90 days in advance. That 90-day planner is a beast. And if you've never tried it, I guarantee you it is time for you to start looking at your priorities a little bit different. You can't manage time, but you can manage your priorities. And one of your priorities needs to be when the boss presents a new thing, or there becomes a new promotion with the company you're working with, or you get a new teammate that has a weird personality. I want you to start embracing this as opportunities to adapt. Sometimes you're going to get a new coworker, and there's immense opportunity that is hiding behind your ability to change from the way you normally are and go ahead and adapt to the situation. I'm not saying you have to give up your values and principles, but what I'm saying is a lot of times you got to get rid of the rules in your head. Do you hear me? A lot of times we have rules in our head that are not helping us, but it used to help us at one point. Isn't that interesting? All right. Where are you unwilling to adapt? Give yourself a score unwilling to adapt this morning. 10 is you are insanely good at it. 5 is I am okay. 1 is I am horrible at adaptation. You know you're a 1 if when a new thing happens, you feel overwhelmed. You know you're a 1 if when change starts to happen, you get depressed or you get frustrated or you get stressed out. You know you're a 10 if you embrace the change. If you're like, yes, I got a new teammate and he's a jerk. Yes. It is raining outside. Yes. You know, it's my birthday and it's a winter blizzard outside. Yes. If that's you, then you're a number 10. You hear me? All right, here's number 3. Here's number 3. We're talking about these daily habits that make you a lot more mentally tough. Here's number 3. Woo, this is a big one, y'all. This is a big one because a lot of times we have to build this into ourselves. If you don't learn to build it into yourself, life will teach you, but you got to learn to be a giver. Number 3 is be a giver. Number 3 is be a servant. First you serve and then you rule. You hear me? First you serve and then you rule. Listen to me, y'all. I want you to understand that living is giving. Just the act of, you know how I'm always saying attitude is based on whether you understand the laws of nature. Well, all day you're giving carbon dioxide to the plants, right? Isn't that interesting? All day you're giving. Giving is living. Millionaires, if you do not begin to understand, because a lot of people don't get this. I can't tell you how many entrepreneurs are like students in our academy and stuff like that. So somebody give me that in the comments. Living is giving. If you're really going to live, how many of us understand? How many of us are parents out there? Let me see it in the comments if you're a parent. This is the best way I can put it, right? If you're a parent, let me see it in the comments. If you're a mom, if you're a dad, let me see it in the comments, right? Let me see it in the comments, because this is what people have to understand. Giving is an essential part of you becoming what you're going to call successful. Now, other people might think you're successful and you ain't never gave a dime. You're greedy as hell. You hoard everything you get. But let me tell you when you're going to call yourself successful. Millionaires, it's when you become a giver, because all these parents that are shouting themselves out right now will all agree that we will do much more for our children than we'll do for ourselves. Isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing that you click on certain power in your body? You click on certain mental strength just because you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for something that's greater than you. Maybe it's your legacy, like your children. Maybe it's your mission. But the bottom line is that, believe it or not, you're using mental strength when you do that. That is a muscle you're flexing. And your ability to flex that muscle is going to make you a lot more powerful as you make it through this world right here. It takes mental strength to want to give. It takes mental strength to want to go the extra mile for somebody without keeping score. But check it out. Like every other muscle, it gets stronger with use. And then before you know it, it's all small thing to a giant. Before you know it, you begin to see enough results in your life where you know that what you give on the physical plane is going to return 10x when you start to combine what God going to do for you with what other people are going to do for you because they like you a lot. All I'm saying is that instead of you looking to become successful, like Booker T. Washington said, instead seek to become somebody who is valuable. What if you decided to focus on adding value and contributing to the world? What if you decided to give what it is that you do with your business before you get money, before you get payment, before you get money? What if you decided to serve so you can begin to deserve? Let me see you give yourself a rank. Let me give yourself a rank on giving. You know, how much value do you give every week to your audience? How much value do you give every week to people who can do nothing in return for you? How much of a giver are you? Sometimes even our giving starts talking about ourself. We're given to make ourselves, but I'm talking about how often do you give, and it's anonymous. Every time I went to the food bank, or we did something for the home, man, I would put it on social media until I realized the highest form of giving is anonymous. I'm not judging nobody. I'm just saying the highest form of giving is when you are anonymous. That's what the Jewish people teach, and I agree. Where are you on being a giver? How much value? And just so we can put it in terms of revenue acceleration this morning, I want to challenge you to ask yourself, how much of it do you give as it relates to what your business does? Like if you do health and wellness products, how often are you giving value about health and wellness? If you do financial services, how often? I ain't say sales presentations. I'm saying how often are you giving? If you're in the world of artistry, how often are you helping other artists? What are you doing to connect other artists with other artists, right? Singers with rappers and producers with musicians. Like, what are you doing to be a giver? What are you doing to put some game out there for somebody who just got hired at your job and now they need to know the ropes to skip and the ropes to know, right? What are you doing to be a giver? Give yourself a 10 if you know you are on point with being a giver, but be honest with yourself or you can't get anything out of this training this morning. Here's the last one I'm gonna give you this morning in terms of habits for mental strength, y'all. What if you began to train yourself to think outside the box? What if you began to train yourself to think with more creativity? Mentally strong people forge their own paths. Millionaires. Sometimes you need to be creative and think outside the box if you're really going to reach a goal that no one else ever hit before. Sometimes you need to think outside the box just if you're going to hit a goal that you saw somebody else hit and therefore you know it's possible. All I'm saying is that creativity is next to godliness. But what's essential is for you to think that it's possible. Or what happens is you stop even looking. What's essential is that you begin to have faith in that infinite black mind of yours. What's essential is that you start to have a solution orientation and you don't fall into this vibe of misery loves company. Instead, what you begin to focus on is how greatness minds its own business. See what I did there? So the first 4 daily habits I gave you is 1, be willing to make mistakes. 2, be willing to adapt. 3, be willing to think be willing to be a giver. And then 4, be willing to think outside the box. Millionaires, now it's affirmation time. Speaking of outside the box, can somebody put the phone number in the comments? You can join us. I suggest you either join us on Clubhouse or you join us on the live line, because these affirmations, again, they add to your mental toughness. Every morning, I say the exact affirmations I said when I was sleeping in my car, and my life now is proof that affirmations work. You know, God and affirmations, all I'm saying to you is that at the end of the day, man, God gave you the power of life and death right in your tongue. There's a miracle right under your nose, baby. It's called your mouth. You hear me? So that's what we about to do. We about to go prove it. Appreciate that, Patrice. All right, so that's the phone number right there. If you want to join us on the live line, I love you all. Repeat after me, millionaires.